You need to watch this clip that's going viral right now online. This is Marco Rubio, who's currently the Secretary of State for the United States, but this was back in 2015 when he was a senator. And what he said about Iran is utterly prophetic. For all those people saying, Iran's got nothing to do with America, nothing to do with us, why should we care about this? Why should we be involved? And why can't we just cut a deal with them? He perfectly summarizes here why Iran has to be stopped, why the regime has to be stopped from getting nuclear weapons, why it is not okay to simply appease them, and helps us understand why there is a perfect example of what happens if you delay action right now. Have a watch of his example, because that should give us all pause for thought. Let's play the clip.
Mr. President, I'll be brief. I know the senator from Tennessee would like to close on this matter. I think everything that needs to be said about the details of this deal have already been said. I do want to be recorded for history's purposes before I know what is going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships. Continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women. And they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region. They'll also continue to build long-range missiles, missiles capable of reaching the United States. Those are not affected by this deal, and they'll continue to build them as they've been doing. And then at some point in the near future, when the time is right, they will build a nuclear weapon. And they will do so because at that point they will know that they have become immune, that we will no longer be able to strike their nuclear program because the price of doing so will be too high. This is not just a work of imagination. It exists in the world today. It's called North Korea, where a lunatic possesses dozens of nuclear weapons and a long-range rocket that can already reach the United States. And we cannot do anything about it. An attack on North Korea today would result in an attack on Tokyo, or Seoul, or Guam, or Hawaii, or California. And so the world must now live with a lunatic in possession of nuclear weapons. And this is the goal Iran has as well, to reach a point where they become immune to any sort of credible military threat because the price of a military strike would be too high. And then they become an established nuclear weapons power. And never in the history of the world has such a regime ever possessed weapons so capable of destruction. Iran is led by a supreme leader who is a radical Shia cleric with an apocalyptic vision of the future. He is not a traditional geopolitical actor who makes decisions on the basis of borders or simply history or because of ambitions. He has an religious apocalyptic vision of the future, one that calls for triggering a conflict between the non-Muslim world and the Muslim world, one that he feels especially obligated to trigger. And he's going to possess nuclear weapons. This is the world that we are on the verge of leaving our children to inherit. And perhaps we ourselves will have to share in it. And so I want to be recorded for history's purposes, if nothing else, to say that those of us who opposed this deal understood where it would lead. And we are making a terrible mistake. And I fear that the passage of this deal will make it even harder for us to prevent it. And I hope that there is still time to change our minds. But here's the good news. Iran may have a supreme leader, but America does not. In this nation, we have a republic. And soon we will have new leaders, perhaps in this chamber, but also in the executive branch. And I pray that on their first day in office, they will reverse this deal and reimpose the sanctions and back them up with a credible threat of military force, or history will condemn us for not doing what needed to be done at this critical moment in the world's history.
So let's be clear. Iran chants death to Israel, death to America. Their sights are set on building proxies, building allies to undermine the West. So when people say, well, America first, we're not interested in that. Yes, every country should serve their own interests first. And when you have a state that is sponsoring terrorism to an incomparable level, comparing it to other countries, when they have their sights set on conquering the region and then turning on the West, if they're building nuclear weapons, if they are sowing all this chaos, it is in your interest to deal with them. And frankly, I would actually say more than that. I would say that what Rubio said about North Korea, that warning is, I'd say in some ways, almost doubly relevant. Because North Korea, yes, they may be crazed. Yes, they have this ideology that justifies their evil regime. But as far as I understand, they don't actually bring theology into that. With Iran, they believe they have a role in almost ushering in the end of days scenario, even if it's going to lead to Armageddon, even if they're going to bring the whole world crashing down with them. And therefore, the danger of a nuclear-armed Iran is in some ways even more stark. And that's why what Rubio said is so prophetic, and why it's so essential to understand that Iran is not just another rational actor. They're governed by extreme ideology. And if you don't know enough about that, well, we created a documentary to explain it in more detail. It's called Iran's Holy War, the theology behind this evil regime. I'll play the trailer for it, and if you want to watch the full thing, you can just click the link below in the video description. The Islamic Republic of Iran. For over 4 decades, its leaders have stood defiantly, their voices thundering through Tehran's streets, chanting death to Israel and waging a relentless war on the West. But what fuels this fierce, unyielding hatred? Is it politics? A grab for regional power? Or something even more profound? A theology that casts Israel and the West as cosmic enemies in a divine battle for the end of days. In this JTV Plus documentary, we embark on a journey to unravel the apocalyptic beliefs at the core of Iran's revolution. We'll uncover the sacred Shia doctrines that prophesy a world reborn through chaos, where a hidden redeemer, the Mahdi, will rise to vanquish evil, with Israel and America as the ultimate foes. We'll dive deep into the mystical visions of a global Islamic order, where martyrdom and jihad pave the path to divine victory. We'll explore how these ancient beliefs shape Iran's every move, from its fiery rhetoric to its deadly proxy wars. From the revolutionary sermons of Ayatollah Khomeini, who ignited a nation, to the shadow wars of spies, cyber attacks, and missiles that have pushed the region to the brink. We'll trace the arc of a regime bent on reshaping history, and we'll reveal the climactic moment when Israel struck back with Operation Rising Lion. A daring, high-stakes operation that shook the world and redefined the conflict. This is not just a story of a nation, but of a creed that seeks to rewrite the future, a conflict that threatens to engulf us all. Join us as we expose the hidden truths behind what Iran sees as its sacred mission, its unrelenting rage, and the battle for our world's destiny. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.